sides of everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. New D block.
You know, I just discovered this record.
LOX. Cocksuckers.
Song's dope. I had no idea they even had a version of this. Like, I literally discovered this like a few days ago.
Outside. Step your game up, DJ.
Sorta like the wind blowing man get shot in the head. That's the anthem. That goose face on the
That beat is nuts.
Everybody
Nuts.
trying to make it percolate. Like a kite on a breezy day. Did things the fast way to live, like the easy way. But it don't sound right to me, so I gotta pray to God that He showed it right to me.
There's a reason I'm playing that, okay? Let's get into the LOX for a second. Another one of my favorite. Love this song. Fucking brilliant. Shout out to Shock, man. Shock really put his foot in this beat. You know, the thing about music, man, it doesn't matter what your background is. I'm a dude from the suburbs. I mean, I'm not really a suburb dude necessarily because I guess I grew up around the different places and things like that. It's not like I was in like, one little suburb in North America or some shit like that. That's not my upbringing. But I'm not a hood dude. I never have been. But one thing about music, man, is that music made well, it speaks to all kinds of people. You know what I'm saying? If you open up, if you listen to it, and if it's powerful, it'll reach you regardless of what your background is, right? If you can relate, you can relate. And I think that's the thing that you hear sometimes when people go, oh, you're not from the streets, so you couldn't relate to this song, whatever. But it's like, that doesn't make any sense because obviously I like Nas and Jay and Mobb Deep and Ghostface and all that shit and LOX, and they're from the gutter, right? And at least they're making music that speaks for the gutter, and I love it, and it speaks to me. So again, powerful music is powerful music, right? If you have to tell me about, oh, you didn't flip packs, so that, therefore you can't relate, that means you're making substandard music. That's usually the excuse that people use. Anyway, the reason why I bring this up is because I love the LOX, man. And in terms of the LOX versus Dipset, obviously I'm going to go with the LOX. I just think they have much stronger material. They have, music that really speaks to the heart, right? And they had their songs too that were just fun shit, you know what I'm saying? If you think I'm jaggy, you know what I mean? They had little songs, whatever, like that played in the club here and there a little bit, but they also had them songs really that hit you, and that's the stuff that matters, man. Like, when we look at people doing a retrospective on their catalog, they're doing a Verzuz now in 2021, playing songs that are at least 10 years, if not 20, if not 25 years old. It's the songs that move you in the spirit that, that last. It's not really what was hot at a particular point in time or what was on Billboard or any of that shit, right? And I just think the LOX have way stronger material, like way stronger. So, look, you're talking about Chic, Jada, Styles, right? Versus sort of like Cam, Juelz, Jim Jones, right? It's not a fair fight, honestly. I mean, Chic Luke is a better rapper than Jim Jones. That we already know. Jim Jones has really no songs worth listening to. Juelz Santana, obviously, I like. He has a couple of joints. But I mean, he's not better than Styles. And of course, in the argument between Cam and Kiss, I mean, Kiss will take that hands down, right? So this is one of those things where it's like, as a group versus another group, I mean, I obviously think that LOX just have more material, man. They have more material that means more, spans different eras. Dipset were kind of hot for their little time period, right? Now, let me give Dipset some credit. They did have the streets on lock, from what I could see, okay? I was outside during those days, and I never liked Dipset. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. I thought Dipset was straight garbage. I always thought that. But did they have the streets on lock? 1,000%. 1,000%. I remember being in Jersey that year. I think it was like 2004 or something like that. And I was visiting a cousin of mine. I would go to Manhattan every now and then too. And he was just like crazy about Dipset. And this guy was in his like mid-30s or some shit. He was like a professor in his mid-30s. He was like, yo, what do you mean you don't like these niggas? These niggas is the hot shit in New York, you know what I mean? And I was like, I'm not feeling them, man. Like, I don't really like what they say. I don't like their style. I don't like their beats. And he was just like, you're bugging. Like, them niggas is ill, blah, blah. This is like, they had the firm grip on the tri-state area at that time. And I used to have some hood-ass roommates too. Shout out to them, right? Some dudes from like, some rough areas in Toronto, like, and I remember one in particular, like, would just play these Dipset mixtapes. He used to listen to all that shit. Hell Rail, JR Ryder, Bird Gang, Uncasa, all that bullshit. I'm laughing about it now, but yo, I'd wake up fucking 7 in the morning, he's bumping that garbage. Yo, he'd fucking like have that shit blasting, light up 7 in the fucking morning. You know what I'm saying? Light up, smoke a little something, whatever. So I know that Dipset definitely had the streets on lock, but I never thought they were that dope. With that said, this Dipset anthem though, yo, I always loved the song. And I like, again, you can be whack and make some fire shit, okay? And this is a perfect example. I never liked Dipset, but they had a couple of songs that were fucking undeniable. And this is exactly one of them. I remember this shit, man. When this shit came on and niggas was in the club doing this, yo, hard. This joint is classic. Like Stone Cold classic. I loved it. I really did like Juelz and stuff. I mean, again, in the beginning, when they first kind of came with like 1 or 2 songs, I was like, okay, I'm fucking with this. But I remember trying to listen to that Diplomatic Community, and I just thought it was whack, man. Like, the beats were too noisy, but it was noisy in this sort of like Kanye. It was like trying too hard almost with that sort of, sped up chipmunk shit. Like, I just thought it was corny, man. And it was like kiddie to me. You know what I mean? Like, outside of obviously this song Stone Cold classic. I love Santana's Town. I love Santana. That was my shit. Crunk music. Those 4 Dipset records to me were like the best shit. I Really Mean It was cool. I'm not like crazy about the song, but decent song. But outside of those songs, man, it was just like a lot of garbage, a lot of noisy garbage. I couldn't listen to any of them shits anymore. You know what I mean? And of course, Cam had like Oh Boy and Hey Ma. Those were classic songs. I was outside when those songs came out. I had a great time listening to those songs, partying to those songs, hanging out with girls with those songs. So yeah, those songs were classic for sure. But overall, man, Dipset were just not my cup of tea, honestly. I just thought they overdid it. And it was like kind of the start of when this hip-hop shit was becoming complete trash. You look at 2021 and how weak stuff is now. And this is a direct reflection of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like these sort of substandard songs that don't really go anywhere, that ain't saying nothing with these substandard beats. You know what I mean? Like, Dipset kind of, were the train for that shit. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that Dipset, ruined rap. Rap was already falling off by the time Dipset got on, right? But my point is that this is kind of when, around this time period, I started to really go back and listen to older rap, because it was just like 2003, 2004. I remember that the quality decline was crazy. It was crazy. And I'm sitting there going like, man, these new songs are just boring. What the fuck? Is it just me? Like, and I started digging. Right? But battle-wise, obviously, I'm going with the LOX. I think, obviously, between the 3 of the members of the LOX, I think they just have better material than Jim Jones and Cam in them. So, that's that. The other thing I want to say real briefly is that, Verzuz is one of those things that, now that they're doing it in big venues and things like that, I mean, I'm all for that. I think that's great. But at the same time, I do think that obviously with bigger venues is going to come theatrics and all that kind of shit. And I don't know if I'm really big on that in the Verzuz. One thing I loved about the Verzuz is that initially the Verzuz was just 2 dudes in the room. Like, there was no hype men. There was no, no extraneous, like, guests, no bitches. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, it was just, yo. Here I am as the rap artist or the producer, and this is the music. Just like I'm doing now, and I'm talking to you, and I press play on my shit. Because a lot of times, like I've said, you take away all the imaging, all the distraction, you know what I'm saying, all the nice and fancy stuff that people hire to make their song seem harder than it is, and you just play that shit on itself, and a lot of these songs are not dope. You know what I'm saying? And the ones that are dope, they stand the fuck out. They just like, they hit you right away. You don't need any extra like gloss and all that kind of stuff. It's just great music. And I think Verzuz to a certain degree is kind of moving away from that. And that's kind of not a big thing for me, honestly. But hey, listen, if I was in New York, would I go to this? I might, you know, Madison Square Garden. Yeah, why not? You know what I'm saying? Like, if the ticket price was right, sure. But LOX all day, man, all day. All right. So let me know who y'all going for. I don't think it's gonna be a complete wash. I mean, obviously, but I do think that LOX got better material, sure. So